Sonia John just joined Falcone Foundation. It's actually her first day, and I'm thrilled to have her on. She is a blockchain developer, a writer, and speaker. She's very passionate about distributed and decentralized systems. Sonia, congratulations on your new role. Tell us a bit about what you'll be doing before we hear about your story.
Thank you. And, thank you so much for having me. And, I am excited on taking developer advocacy at the Falcone Foundation, which is an independent organization that's, working towards facilitating the governance of the Falcone network, funding critical development projects. And it's one of the many organizations that supports the growth of the Falcone ecosystem, and it advocates for the decentralization of the web, which is something I will be doing a lot of. And it's exciting because I'll be working with thousands of developers, miners, programs, and different ecosystem stakeholders, to ensure Falcone's long-term success.
Well, that sounds very exciting. But let's talk about how you became a developer. You had a non-traditional path. Tell us about your journey.
I think it's only non-traditional in the sense that learning to code for me was perhaps born out of sheer desperation at the time. But my interest in technology was long-standing even before I made the transition. So I had the opportunity to work in telecommunications, and when I was there, I was drawn to information technology, specifically data science fundamentals, for data intelligence and how they could be used to drive certain solution delivery. So when I started to learn to code, I started with HTML and CSS like most people. But it wasn't until I learned Python and kind of started to test out, my builds that I kind of experimented with machine learning by, starting off with building messenger bots for platforms like Telegram.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. It was your passion that drove you. While we say it's non-traditional, but for most people, it is that passion, and then that will, that bridge. Now, it's no secret that tech has a diversity problem, right? There's inclusion is an issue that we're working on. We're moving forward. What is it like being a female developer?
Oh, well, I mean, if anyone is anything like me, I think one of the challenges that they will definitely have to contend with is continuously exposing themselves to very, or at least highly technical roles without a prior study of computer science. And for me, trying to reconcile that difference was often accompanied by moments of low confidence. And any developer can be exposed to such moments, but it took realizing that the help that I needed was available in the communities that I was in. So I try to read more than I write. I ask questions, I test my theories. And I think ultimately this approach will work for anyone who's joining the Web3 space or pretty much getting started with their developer journey.
I love that advice. Read more than you write and ask questions. So you're definitely on a journey. Now, I just asked you about being a female developer. Falcone Foundation is also unique in the blockchain space, right? It's led by women.
Absolutely, and it's actually it's interesting to see that the tech space has done so much to kind of maybe lower the barriers to entry for a lot of people within the space. So a lot of the resources that you would need to kind of get started with your developer journey are pretty much easily available. And the growth of open source software, is a key component to that because anyone and anywhere can have access to the technologies that are being built using this open source software, and it's become almost game changing in the technology landscape.
Wow. Well, you mentioned your journey, your passion about tech, but what brought you to blockchain? What was that intersection for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, so first thing is, although I am in Kenya, I am from South Sudan, which is one of the few countries that has experienced hyperinflation in the last 10 to 15 years was. And, for better or for worse, I was living and working there when this happened. So when I was introduced to Bitcoin and Ethereum as alternative currencies that could have solved some of the problems that I was facing, it was an intriguing promise. So I stayed learning about these networks. I learned about the underlying technology that powers them and the applicable use cases that it holds. So it's the power that's, it's the technology that's powering the Falcone network. It's ensuring that it remains a peer-to-peer network with built-in incentives for reliable, efficient, and decentralized storage. And I found that this was something that I wanted to contribute to because, it has an underlying mission to better humanity's, to better keep humanity's information.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the idea.
and that's powerful. And you make a great point about, inflation and economies that are, economically challenged, because what we've seen adoption in blockchain across the world is where there is high inflation, right? People don't necessarily trust the state or the central bank. And so the solutions are the focus, right? There's less questions on the how, there's more questions on how do we implement solutions.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's not coincidental that Africa is seeing the biggest growth in Bitcoin volumes currently, because I think, again, for better or for worse, we experience a lot of the economic challenges that make it necessary for us to use Bitcoin, and that's just proof that it's working as it was designed.
Proof that it's working as it was designed. And I love that because I'm a big decentralization nut. And so in terms of, empowering communities that were left out of the traditional financial system. So it's great to see, where this is actually happening.
Absolutely.
Now you have a great story, obviously, and there's people in the audience, women, innovators of color, who may want to become a blockchain developer. And as we talked from the beginning, your story is traditional or non-traditional, depending on your vantage point. But what would be your advice for anyone in the audience who wants to learn how to code, become a developer, but become a blockchain developer?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a good question because we need a lot of developers in this space. So generally, knowing where to get the information you need is a great first step. And usually this is in your community. So for example, to get started with Falcone, we have different resources available through documentation, videos, discussion forums, meetups, as easy ways to learn how Falcone works and how you can participate. So if you identify, a technologies that you're passionate about, that is the easiest way to get started. But I've also taken to recommending Bitcoin and Black America, which is a great book by Isaiah Jackson, and it presents multiple tools that individuals can use to, attain future success using Bitcoin and blockchain technology. So it's a great place to start to kind of learn why we're all very excited about this technology. And I think finally, look out for the resources that cover that intersection of emerging technology and blockchain technology, So podcasts like Rare Birds, for example, which is one of my favorites in that space.
The great resources, great tools. Now, as
Yeah.
we wrap up, I know it's your first day. So what will your first week, your first full week be like at Filecoin Foundation?
I think it will be great. I mean, I had the opportunity to meet the team over very many long form conversations, and during those conversations, we were able to kind of try to figure out how we can really, advocate for the decentralization of the web and advocate for Filecoin. So it's definitely going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot of these conversations, get to hear from the developers themselves, get to hear from pretty much any stakeholder in the ecosystem, and just kind of pull all those recommendations together to really push our mission forward.
Great, great. Now, Falcone Foundation is a part of Blockchain Association, and the Blockchain Association, represents about 40 companies, and there's a lot of hiring happening within the, blockchain community. I know, the Blockchain Association has a site, careers in blockchain.us that they can go to that actually has jobs from all of the different positions. So, well, from the different companies, I should say. Now, for people in our audience, it's important for them to know that you, for you, Sonia, you came to the table as a developer, but there are various opportunities, in operations, in accounting, for soft skills and tech skills, non-technical positions. So we do, as we close, I do want to tell folks to be excited about your new role, but let people in our audience know there are lots of job opportunities within the blockchain and cryptocurrency space.
Absolutely, and we are also hiring at Falcone Foundation. So, if you have skills, if you have ideas that you can, bring to the team, you can, share them at jobs@phil.org, and someone will reach out.
Well, thank you. Any last parting words before we wrap up?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I definitely enjoy conversations like this. I love that we can come together and kind of pull our ideas together. So again, thank you for having me.